Hey everybody, welcome back inside the stash. Yes, once again, more crap is filtered into the basement here. I know. It's pedantically ridiculous how much stuff, right? But it is what it is. Consider the fact that it's petering out. It just seems like it goes on forever. So we have some stuff that came in from Japan. Actually, there's more stuff on the way from Japan. It'll be the monthly Hobbylink Japan box. This stuff is all from Bai, so it's some more vintage Japanese stuff. We got a set of decals in from here in the United States, as well as our other airbrush for our new paint command center has arrived. So that leaves us pretty much just now waiting on a few things left to do here. Once again, still need to get the weather sealing done for the corner of the basement. I have now become very, very enamored with a set of workstation furniture that's made in well, I think it's made in China, but it's sold through a company in Texas. That may or may not be what we end up doing. I've been measuring walls and things like that to see if it will fit in the design that I particularly care for, or whether we're just going to stick with the free furniture we already have. That would be much cheaper and not have to have any time to wait for. But I think there's at least one component of the free furniture that I have that I was going to use that I'm going to use in a different format as far as how I'm going to set the basement up when I'm done. The big significant thing, I guess, if you want to call it that, because it's technically not here yet, but it has been ordered, is that the window that's right here that causes the light to be natural down here. I measured that out, and I have the new glass block replacement window ordered. This glass block window will come with a dryer vent already pre-built into it, and that will be how we vent out our paint booth. And that'll, of course, eliminate anything silly like drilling a hole through a cement wall or trying to, duct it around the basement, which, of course, would be pointless because once you get more than, at least what the manufacturer recommends on the paint booth, once you get more than 8-foot run of piping, the fan starts to lose its, its cubic feet per minute that it's pumping out. And then, of course, the other option will be to tie it into the existing dryer vent that is already through a hole in the wall over on the other side of the basement, And, of course, that's, where the actual dryer itself is, and that's just a, giant dusty lint trap, and that's not conducive to painting. So, the window is supposed to be here by next weekend. We'll see if it shows up on time or not. Obviously it has to be built. It's going to come, sort of pre-mortared together. It's one of those just drop-in replacement windows. So all you have to do is mortar the joints on 3 sides of it and then caulk the top. It doesn't sound that complicated. There's only 5 steps in the instructions. I'm not really a home remodeling kind of guy, just because, I guess maybe because my dad wasn't that handy a guy. My grandfather would have tore the crap out. He probably would have blown his own glass block windows. He would have mixed his own mortar out of clay and had this done months ago. So I've sort of fall somewhere in between. Like, I'm handy, but I'm not particularly, I don't want to say good at it. That's not what I mean, but not very, active in trying to be handy, just because I don't have, I watched my grandfather do a lot of stuff, and then I watched my dad not do a lot of stuff. So we're going to see where this fits. Assuming that the window is the right size when it shows up, and I didn't goof the measurements of it up too much, it really does seem pretty simple. I've watched a couple of videos for it on YouTube. The instructions for the window itself are 5 steps. I've been joking with my wife. That's because step 6 is call somebody who knows what they're doing, you idiot. So we'll see. Hopefully, if that all goes well and that window is, we'll have to try to figure out some time where both my wife and I are coherently enough off of work and awake to do that, because the window is like 120 pounds of blocks that you don't want to break apart. Their mortar that it comes pre-assembled, or as I was saying, set it in place and then think you're going to mortar the sides and watch the whole thing tumble into the basement and shatter. So it's a 2-person job, and yeah, should be a fun-filled afternoon some point in the later part of this month or the beginnings of a divorce, one of the two. So we'll let you know how that works out. So let's see here on the stuff we have here that I can show you without spinning the camera around. I picked this set of Shunko model decals up off of Stratasports, they're selling it on eBay for probably about half of what they really should sell for, at least here in the United States. It's a little less than these decals actually sold for in Japan itself. This will make you the 2008 season Honda NSX Takata Dome sponsored car. I don't think Dome really has any kind of livery on this, is what the way they did on their original 2005 NSX. But you could build either the race version here, or this bottom part here builds the preseason test version. As you can see here, it's pretty much the same shtick as the actual Takata Dome car in the terms of it being a green and white two-tone. And then you go from there. I have a couple of, right now, over in Baiyi, I have a couple of I don't know if they're really official race things or if they're just things that were published to support the Super GT series, because that's what this is, Super GT. But they made annual like magazines. I don't know how many pages they are really, but they're more pictures than anything. Let's put it that way. And I have them coming for 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, as that's where all of my Super GT kits are in terms of years, and where all of the aftermarket decal support is. Really, it seems like, with one exception of one Lexus SC, you could make the entire remaining 14 teams that started Super GT for 2009. The big thing with that would be the NSX and the SC would have undergone some body modifications and some splitter modifications. Not really body modifications in the sense of shapes, but just the way the splitters and the canards and everything and the splitter diffuser out back works, compared to the way that Tamiya kitted them. And of course, Tamiya with those NSX and their Lexus kits have that die-cast chassis plate, and so trying to make a newer, more coherent body styling may be kind of interesting. Try to build around that diecast, or have to replace the diecast altogether with something else. So I got those magazines ordered. They're still over there. There's a couple more things coming. The 2005, 2006, 2006, 2007 I purchased, but they're not in yet, so I can't ship the whole package yet. But like I said, it's very much a photo reference guide that I believe includes both the GT 300 class, which is the subclass that runs GT3 style cars, and the GT 500 class, which runs the top line NSX. Well, currently it still runs an NSX, a Lexus, and a Nissan GTR. Just not quite the same ones that they were running back in the mid-2000s. But be that as it may, the other thing we got, like I said, is our second airbrush. So this is our Badger Sotar 2020. This was a special deal we did with a group on Facebook where we got these things custom engraved with the group's name on one, or the group's initials on one side. And in that package deal, we got all of the needles included. So this comes, I'm sure nothing falls out of it, comes with the fine needle already installed, which is what you see, this black blob out the back here. This is the fine needle. There's a second fine needle in the box, so huzzah, there's two. This little doohickey down here is a tip protector. As it stands, when you take this little rubber thing off the actual airbrush, the needle just comes through the tip. If you're doing some like really in-depth painting where you're about to touch the needle itself off the model, this tip protector is there to sort of, it's like it looks like a two-pronged fork, and it would stop the needle itself from actually hitting the surface that you're painting on. So this is what you get. I already have another quick disconnect for the bottom here, so we'll put the airbrush quick disconnect side on already, and we'll just leave that hooked up, and then that way it'll be ready to go. And we take this top off so you see like you can see the needle comes right out the end right there, whereas this little piece, why I think it's going to focus on that with all the stuff that's going on behind me, I don't know. This piece right here, like I said, has that little two-pronged protector on it to keep you from ramming the needle into a surface. Obviously, that would be more of a concern for an actual airbrush artist, in the sense of somebody who's, you know, doing a lot of fine detail work on paper, canvas, that type of thing. This one has a smaller roller in the sense of it's not as tall as the Patriot, and the paint cup's obviously smaller. This guy's is a very, very fine detail brush, even with the large needle installed. It's only a point. I think the large needle. This is a point. With this installed, it's a 0.1 or a 0.2, and I think it's a 0.3 and a 0.4. But they're not even really the same kind of point system that a regular airbrush uses, because I believe the widest spray pattern on the largest needle is only like 1.25 inches wide, and with that small one, it's hairline. So with a steady enough hand, enough practice, you could theoretically detail paint with that airbrush without masking. Now, obviously, that ain't going to happen for a while because it's been a long time since I've airbrushed, but I wanted the ability to have something like that airbrush that I could use for, you know, with masks, obviously, at first, anyway. Paint the window surrounds. You know, I have a lot of, obviously, more modern, well, I guess at this point probably is tilting towards more modern, but, you know, for anybody who's watched this channel before, you know that behind the camera here is all of my domestic stuff, and it's not even all of it because I ran out of shelf space for this stuff. I've cleaned this bottom shelf out, and it's going to get more kits in it, but these kits are all double deep. So what you see here on the front, in the case of like this Nova and the two Camaros, there's another 3 kits behind it that face out into the rest of the basement. So yeah, I have obviously have a lot of import kits. We have a lot of domestic kits too, but the point is that obviously anything past like about the 1980s or so has that black window surround that goes around the inside of your windows, as well as the black, you know, chrome trim went out, black trim around your windows on the outside came into effect. I'd like to be able to, you know, and I will be able to because I have the airbrush now, just a matter of getting everything hooked up, obviously. Paint all that kind of stuff without masking the entire body off. You guys have seen this before on forums and Facebook and whatnot, where people are spray bombing that trim, and they have to mask the entire car off, because when you're painting with a spray can, of course, you're painting with the volume of a fire hose, and there's really nothing you could do about that. So it'll be nice to, you know, just run a little bit of Tamiya semi-gloss black through the through the airbrush, and you know, obviously, anytime you reduce the volume of paint and reduce the amount of pressure and whatnot behind the paint, you're going to have less chance of it running underneath your tape masks in the first place. And, you know, just the ability to detail paint stuff, you know, without having to actually get out brushes. It's one thing that even with, like, the 318 that I built, that you know, that glue bombed the window by accident. The one thing I really don't like about that build, when I look at it, is the fact that all of that window trim is painted on by hand, and it's kind of blotchy and uneven. And one of the things that, you know, I like best about the, you know, painting with you know, semi-gloss black is that it's a nice uniform, you know, thing. Obviously, this is spray bombed. This is the chassis of the NSX. We haven't shown this to anybody. We've never updated that build, but yeah, you know, you get this nice uniform surface to it. And while the semi-gloss black that comes in the bottle has a different sheen to it than the spray kind does, it's still a uniform, not blotchy type surface. So there is that. Now we're going to spin the camera around real quick, and we're going to take a look at the kits. All right, folks, so the first one and the only non-race kit in this batch is this Fujimi. This is one of the Millennium kits, like the Mines kits are. This is a Lancer 7 Extreme. Okay, actually, no, excuse me, it's a Lancer 6 Extreme. It's a rally art car, basically. There's another one of this. There's a Lancer 7 that I bid on and did not win. Actually, I think I forgot to bid on it, and it just got delisted and never popped up again. Unlike, you know, a lot of Fujimi kits, you actually do get, I believe, at least, let's see if I can find them. There they are. They're 2-piece Meister S2 wheels there. So you do get the actual wheels that are shown in the box for a change, instead of being stuck with the ones that are not. This is a different body than that is in your normal Evo 6. It has the Rally Art like ground effects and everything molded in already, and then you get the the couple little Rally Art and extreme graphics and stuff like that on the decal sheet itself. Looks like a tuned, not a tuner, but a tuned type deal with that gauge down here in the bottom. We can get the focus. Come on. Sometime today, folks. That'd be great. Too much sheen when you do these things through the plastic. But it looks like there's like a digital tune screen readout. Other than that, it's just a normal Evo 6. If you have any Fujimi Evo 6s, you know what those consist of. If any Fujimi Evos at all, you know what they consist of, because more or less they're all the same kit when it comes down to it in the end. And then we go into our race car, purchasing. So first up is the Loctite Zexel GTR. I told you guys I was going to pick another one of these up if I could find one real cheap, and I did find another one real cheap. This one actually smells pretty musty. So when I open the box, I don't know how good the decals are inside, but of course I have the other one, so I can just use its decals, which look to be pretty pristine. The reason why, other than the fact that must have all models that ran Super GT and GTTC, that I bought this kit is that this is the team car to that set of decals. You guys remember that silver set of Castrol decals I showed you? That is the number 2. Well, Team Nismo ran 2 cars in 2000. They ended up running 2 cars throughout Super GT, and they still run 2 cars, but at the time, they ran 2 cars. One was this one, and one is that Castrol car. So not only are they specific, this body itself with its one hood cutout, specific to the 2000 body style and race season, it is also, again, like I said, the teammate to that other set of decals. So I was obligated to pick this up just because it's the team car. Come on. You can't not build the team car. I picked this kit up. Some people who have seen my stash know that I already have one of these. This exact one. I'm not sure where it is floating in my stuff here. I think it may not even be floating in my stuff. It may be buried in a box someplace because I don't see it. But anyway, I already have one of these because I want to build this Pia Accord because it matches the Pia Civics that BMAX did, livery-wise and design-wise and everything else like that. There's also that Pia Civic 4-door that I really wish Hasegawa would reissue so I could have all 3 of the Pia cars that ran in JTCC over the course of the years. And it really bugs me because I have no idea where this kit is in my stuff. I know I have it up there. Okay, it's buried down here. Actually, I have the Jax one. I have the Jax Accord, you guys will recall. It is... look out. Eek! There. This kit right here. The Jax Accord. And in order to build the Pia Accord, I need these 5-spoke wheels. I know, I could build it with the other one, but the other one has a different set of wheels. So the Pia Accord, or the PIAA Accord, because technically this is an abbreviation, not a name, requires these 5-spoke wheels. So I got this kit for a song. These Accords are like really, really expensive to find on eBay, but it depends on who's selling them, to be honest, because some of the ones on Buyee are kind of pricey too. But for the most part, you can get these Civics for under $25 still, just because there were so many of them made, and most of them stayed in Japan because, well, why would anyone want one here, basically? I have actually not peeked in here to see what things look like in terms of the decals. They're floating in the bottom of the box. Oops, I dropped one. Crud. So this is your sort of your close-up decal sheet in the sense that it has the gauge on it and the seat belts and other stuff like that. And this camera's going to relentlessly focus brilliantly on the stuff in the background. This. So you get, like I said, you get your seatbelt decals, a few other things. You can see these 15s over here are kind of yellowed already. I'm really not a terribly big fan of when people decide that their idea of storing decals is to take them out of the package that they come in, because Tamiya's decals are pretty much all in plastic with a wax liner on them. Although these, yeah, they don't look too terribly bad. The actual decals for the car itself, these aren't too yellowed, although those other 15s are. So yeah, you might be able to mix and match as far as the decals go. But I already have the replacement set of decals. These will only come in handy because I could probably use all the black areas on the set of decals and maybe not have to two-tone the car itself. Make sure that the window posts are okay on this car, because if you ever buy one of these Accords, well, the first thing you want to do is take a look at the window posts because they're really, really thin and notorious for being broken. That one is A-OK, so yay, good on me. We're getting a good set. But yeah, so this, like I said, bought this because I have the Pia decals and I need the wheels out of the actual Pia kit, or the I believe there's a Castrol kit that has there's 4 of these actual, kits as far as from the factory, from Tamiya's factory. There's this Pia one, the Jax Accord, and there's, actually I should say there's 3 of them, and then there's the Castrol Accord. And there's a set of decals for a Cools, like the cigarette, the KOL. Guys who are old enough will remember those cigarettes. I think I still make them, but I haven't seen any of them recently. There's one that's sponsored by Cools and Jax, which I believe is technically the next year's car. And there's decals for it, but you need the Jax car to make it with those set of wheels. So, at any rate, blah, blah, blah wheels, blah, blah, blah specifics. You don't care, but that's the reason why we picked that up. We grab this as well. This is another one of the Tom's Toyota Exif JTCC cars. I do already have one of these. I bought it primarily because I have the decals to turn it into the Ghia Race of Macau version. I decided after sort of sitting around and looking at things for a while that I wanted to build the JTCC version as well, especially now with the Corona that's going to be coming out from BMAX sometime, probably next year by the time it gets out, but maybe this year or next year. You can build this 2 different ways. One is Zent sponsored, one is Esso sponsored. The decals are there to do both. Let's see here. I'm really having a chance to look through some of this stuff. I was more concerned about the stuff I'm going to show you next being okay before I got this. Yeah. Let's say the JTCC boxes up there are kind of yellowed. Everything else looks pretty decent. I probably could save that seat decal. And then this is the decal sheet itself. Now this was designed back when Tamiya did it so that you would paint the car white and all the red itself would be decals. I think it's actually technically upside down. Yes, it is. And, the Exif stuff's kind of yellow. The Zen stuff's kind of yellowed. There's kind of a texture to these decals. You can't see it, but something sat on them. So there are replacement decals for this kit from either Shunko or from SK. I have the SK set to make the Ghia Race of Macau car, so I'll probably just pick up another SK set. And then, there's some masking to do, obviously, with this, but it's not really too complex. And obviously, I have the masks there with a set of decals. I can just cut masks that are the same size as the decals and go that way. It'd be much easier. And then the stuff I really wanted to pick up, and I was happy to find, are the remaining NSX kits I needed for my collection. I just said, well, I'm going to start building right away, but we'll see. This is the Takata Dome NSX that I was talking about when I was showing you guys that other set of decals. Obviously, the other set of decals, this line is in a different place, and there's slightly different sponsorship decals. The number stayed the same throughout the time, and it sort of kind of has that stripe for the Philips Xenon headlight thing that the other set of decals has. This one is molded in white. You got to paint the green, and there's really not a lot to the decals itself because obviously it's just the wording and the numbers and stuff like that. Decals look good in this, so I'm happy with that. Because it really does get into a situation where there are not replacement decals for these kits. There's more decals by Shunko for the 2005 or 2006 and 2007 series, but no actual replacement for the 2005 series. This is the other 2005 kit I needed because I already have the Arda and the Raybrig. This is the Epson NSX. This kind of has that little PIA tie-in too, so that, you know, everything flows together. This one is sort of the same way. You got to paint the blue. You get the silver pinstriping that goes around the divide line, but beyond that, it's a two-tone of your own choosing. I believe there's decals back here for this splash point. I like that Ebro sponsors this. Back when Ebro was still just a die-cast manufacturer and you know, and not a kit manufacturer. So that's cool. The decals in here again look fine because there's really not a whole heck of a lot to them in the sense of, you know, it's just some words and some numbers. And then we are done after this one, folks. One last one. And that is this. This is one of the first gen full detail NSX kits. These kits don't have the metal die-cast floor. They have an engine. They build up pretty much like a racing version of the original Street NSX kit in the sense that, like I said, it's a full chassis, full engine, full everything. This one represents the Mobil 1 sponsored livery. This decal, guys, is chopped up into like about 7 pieces that you then have to put back together again over this, but at least it's chopped up into pieces rather than it being a one decal that you're trying to shove into that space. Same deal with this. This Mobil 1 livery back here split into 2. It's a cool kit, and the decals actually look like they're in pretty decent shape. You know, your main concern with this is being a white car. Any kind of yellowing that happens in the glue process would show badly on a white car. So, again, very, very excited to get this. It is a situation where you sort of see the engine through the back there. Situation where this was the last one of these that I needed. One other thing, if you're going after these NSX kits, another important thing with these is check these window frames. They're very, very, very thin. I managed to luck out on every single one of these I bought because other than the Raybrig kit, which is still in production with Tamiya, and since you can buy it from like Hobbylink Japan and stuff like that, the rest of these kits are all long out of production, especially these first gen kits. And is a happy camper. So, guys, that's what's coming today. We'll have another box here, probably over the weekend, maybe next week, of the just a few things. I think it's 8 kits and 2 sets of decals that are over at Hobbylink Japan. It's the stuff that came in for the end of May, as well as some of the base kits for the police car decals. I got the Fiat police car decals along with the Fiat A-berth to put them on. My Evo 10 police decals finally came in, as well as the Gallardo I need to build the Gallardo decals, police decals I showed you in the last Inside the Stash video. We have the Kubelwagen. We have the 2015 Crown Athlete, the 2 of the Jack's 4-door Civic race cars, and then we also have the Diablo GTR. So, some fun stuff to look at when that box comes in. The last time I looked on tracking it had left Japan, so it's got to fly its way over here. It may show up maybe Saturday, because today's Wednesday. But we'll do another one then. I didn't want to make these videos too terribly long. It just gets to be a problem editing it and uploading it, and then you guys have to watch it forever. So, cut it here. We'll see you guys on the other side.